All right, learning objective 2. Discuss the structure of the Declaration of Independence. The first part was called the preamble, which stated the theory of natural rights and asserted the right under certain circumstances of revolution. Now let's get this straight. This is the preamble to the Declaration of Independence, not the preamble to the Constitution. These two often get confused amongst people. So let's just keep, the preamble is just a way of saying the beginning, the argument. So this is all that this is. And it's for the Declaration of Independence. We'll get to the preamble of the Constitution later. So the preamble stated that governments must rest upon, quote, the consent of the governed. For they are set up to protect certain rights, inalienable rights, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The preamble continued by stating that, quote, governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes, unquote. But the long list of grievances against the king was meant to prove that in this case the causes were oppressive and that the Americans had suffered, quote, a long train of abuses and usurpations, unquote, which showed an intention, quote, to reduce them under absolute despotism. So in other words, they're arguing that, you know what, people get pissed off at the government from time to time. This is normal. This is a natural tendency. But we're not just throwing a tantrum here. We have actual specific reasons to, and we can demonstrate that King George, which rules Parliament, plans to rob us of our inalienable rights and treat us as a despot. And so with reason, we are demonstrating that we are severing our political ties with Great Britain. And finally, the preamble pointed out that they had more than a right to rebel, they had a duty to rebel. The second part of the document was a list of grievances, or a long array of abuses of power from which the colonists felt they had suffered. So it was just a big list that says the king did this, the king did that, the king did this, just to demonstrate to the world that they were not just breaking free because they felt like it. It was listing the evidence. Although most of the quarrels had been acts of Parliament, so these grievances were basically things that Parliament did, the list of grievances was directed, quote, at the present king of Great Britain. Jefferson did this deliberately, just to demonstrate that there was no going back. He was saying that there is no reconciliation possible. We've already tried that. We're going straight to the source of the authority of Parliament, to the king, to break and sever this relationship once and for all. In this list of grievances, Jefferson stressed George's interference with the functioning of representative government in the colonies, his restriction on civil rights, and his maintenance of troops in the colonies in time of peace without their consent. George was also held responsible for many actions by subordinates and stuff that he had never authorized. So it was a list of things that just held King George thoroughly responsible for everything that had possibly had gone wrong with the relationship between the colonies and Great Britain. All right, to conclude this learning objective, let's just watch another segment from John Adams where they are reading the Declaration of Independence after Thomas Jefferson has written it. Benjamin Franklin and John Adams are reading it, and they are going to suggest some rewrites to it, as you'll shortly see here.
Altogether unexpected. Not only a declaration of our independence, but of the rights of all men. This is well said, sir. Very, very well said. The Christian king of Great Britain has waged cruel war against human nature itself, in the persons of a distant people who never offended him, captivating and carrying them into slavery in another hemisphere.
Yes, you lay the evils of slavery at the
the feet of the king, but you say nothing of slavery itself, sir. Now, surely, if the trade is outlawed but ownership is not, then those unfortunate Negroes still in servitude will become a more lucrative commodity.
Well, that's not what I intended, Dr. Franklin. Slavery is an abomination and must be loudly proclaimed as such, but I own that neither I nor any man has any immediate solution to the problem.
Oh, but 'tis no matter. The issue before us is independence and not emancipation.
Dr. Franklin, this document is...
It's something our friends in the Congress will debate, but I would be very surprised if they will countenance an attack on slavery. Now, we hold these truths to be sacred and undeniable, that all men are created equal, etc. Sacred and undeniable. Smacks of the pulpit.
Does it?
These truths are self-evident, are they not?
Perhaps.
Self-evident, then. Self-evident?
Self-evident.
Do not mistake me, sir. I share your sentiment.
Every single word was precisely chosen. I assure you of that, Dr. Franklin.
Yes, but yours will not be the only hand in this document. It cannot be. They will try to mangle it, and they may succeed.
There may be expressions which I would not have inserted if I had drawn it up, but I will defend every word of it.
Well, it's what I believe.
So there you have it. If you ever have written an essay and felt like you put your heart and soul into the thing only to have a bunch of red ink spilt all over it and maybe even have the professor tell you to write it again, well, you're in good company. Even Thomas Jefferson had to make some rewrites and had to listen to some helpful critiques about the work he put into his writing. What they were talking about, part of what they were talking about in the edits that needed to happen was one of the grievances was going to be an attack on slavery. This is the attack. He has waged cruel war against human nature himself, and it goes on and on and on. And basically it's blaming King George for slavery. One, this is not true. It doesn't really matter if it's true or not, but slavery had long existed before King George was a twinkle in his parents' eyes. And two, like Franklin was pointing out that other Southern delegates, Jefferson was a Southern delegate, but other Southern delegates might find this a deal breaker to even have a hint of attacking slavery in this thing. So it was decided that this needed to be taken out. All right, that's Learning Objective 2. I will see you in Learning Objective 3. Take care.